Wait, don't curse me for making this video because unlike what you think, the Note 7 Pro is not the clear winner. It's not like it's far ahead of the M30 in terms of camera performance. There are certain things the M30 is better at. Let's talk all about it in this video. And of course, I'm gonna talk about Google camera photos as well in the end. Before we begin, let me introduce myself. My name is Ashwin Sundar. This is Technology Jock. Kindly subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon for more videos like this. Guys, one important thing, if you don't understand photography terms like aperture, dynamic range, highlights, shadows, and how sensor size is related to image quality, etc., then please watch this video. I've explained everything in very simple terms. I received a ton of amazing comments on how useful the video was to many people, so I guess you will have a thorough understanding of everything. Don't think it's a long video because once you watch it, you will understand every bit of detail in all camera reviews and comparisons that you watch in future. So back to the video. The 48 megapixel IMX586 sensor on the Redmi Note 7 Pro is capable of pixel binning. It combines every 4 neighboring pixels into one, so the effective resolution is 48 divided by 4, which is 12 megapixels. That's the default resolution. The M30 on the other hand has a 13 megapixel primary camera. Both phones perform well when the lighting is very good. In most cases, both phones capture almost equally sharp pictures. Note that I said almost, because at first glance you can't notice any difference. Hell, even at 2x zoom you can't, but when you zoom in further like 6x, 8x zoom, that's when you can see a bit more detail on the M30's image. Like here, it's easier to read the text on the M30's image, but guys, frankly speaking, that little bit of extra sharpness, which is noticeable only when you zoom way too much, doesn't matter. If you do want it, the Redmi Note 7 Pro has a 48 megapixel mode in Pro mode, which can capture more detail. But in my testing, the 48 megapixel photos were just as sharp as the 12 megapixel photos in most cases. So in terms of sharpness, both phones are almost equally good. The minute difference is not a big deal. But when it comes to literally anything else, the Note 7 Pro comes out on top. White balance, color reproduction, dynamic range, macro, you name it. Look at this comparison. The color of the sky is reproduced accurately by the Note 7 Pro. The color of the trees is also more vibrant. Same here, the white balance is a bit off on the M30's image. Now here's a comparison of macro photos. The difference is quite obvious. The Note 7 Pro exhibits better and accurate colors. And if you notice, the background blur is also much stronger. This is because the Note 7 Pro has a large sensor, it's 1 by 2 inches, while the M30 sensor is smaller in comparison. The Note 7 Pro also has a wider aperture, f1.79 compared to f1.9 on the M30, which results in a shallow depth of field, hence stronger background blur. Now surprisingly, the dynamic range is quite similar in most scenarios. In very few challenging situations like this one, the Note 7 Pro exhibits better dynamic range. Look at that wall behind the tree. Most of it is blown out, but it's partially visible. On the M30's image, it's completely blown out. It's all pure white. Here, once again, on the M30's image, the sky is completely blown out, but the Note 7 Pro retains a bit of orange. This was shot during sunset, by the way. The skin tones also look better on the Note 7 Pro's image. Now, when it starts becoming dark, the differences between both phones become even wider. The Note 7 Pro is considerably better, and under low light, the Note 7 Pro is the obvious winner. The images are a lot brighter, and don't forget that the Note 7 Pro also has a dedicated night mode and it delivers some stunning results. In extremely dark scenarios, the night mode also introduces a lot of noise, but it's still better than a dark, unusable photo. In other cases, it just enhances the details. Like here, the part of the wall near the light source is not blown out, and there is just so much more detail on the wall, on the road, on the car, on everything. Now moving on to the secondary camera, both phones have a 5 megapixel depth sensor for portrait mode. Samsung calls it live focus images. Here are a few comparisons. In this one, the Note 7 Pro's image is kinda dark and the M30's image is too bright. A part of my sister's face is blown out. Here on the M30's photo, my hair and my ear are blurred, while the Note 7 Pro does better edge detection. It's also a lot sharper than the M30's image. The only downside, the skin tone's not natural. it becomes too orangey at times. But in most cases it's perfect, better than the M30 actually. The M30's portraits have a sort of pink tint. You can actually change the strength of the background blur as well on both phones, which is quite handy. Now the Galaxy M30 also has a third camera, which is a 5 megapixel ultra wide angle camera. How about the quality? In good lighting conditions it performs reasonably well. Of course these images are not meant to be zoomed in or anything, it's just 5 megapixels and under low light it's terrible. I'm not complaining though, since this is the only phone in this price segment to offer an ultra wide angle camera. So my advice is avoid using this camera unless you absolutely need to capture a wide scene, especially under low light. For selfies, the Note 7 Pro has a 13 megapixel camera and the M30 has a 16 megapixel camera. And the difference between them largely depends on the software, depends on how the selfies are processed. First off, despite having a lower resolution camera, the Note 7 Pro captures sharper selfies than the M30 does. But everything else is better on the M30's image. The skin tone's better, more natural. The dynamic range is also wider. Look at the background. The clouds in the sky are clearly visible on the M30 selfie. Under low light, the M30 selfie is all smudged up. There is huge loss in detail, but it's still more usable than the Note 7 Pro selfie. There is significant difference in brightness. Now both the phones can also shoot portrait selfies, and here the M30 is just miles ahead of the Note 7 Pro. Okay, once again the Note 7 Pro selfies are slightly sharper, the edge detection is also slightly better, but overall the M30 selfies look so much better, mostly due to natural skin tones and excellent dynamic range. The Note 7 Pro is capable of shooting 4K videos at 30 fps, the M30 is capped at 1080p 30 fps. First off, the Note 7 Pro's focusing speed is extremely fast. The other obvious difference is the extra sharpness on the Note 7 Pro's footage. Obviously it's 4K, right? And just like with still images, the Note 7 Pro's video exhibits better color reproduction. The trees, the sky, they all just look more vibrant. The dynamic range though is very similar. EIS is not at play here, but on the Note 7 Pro, if you change the resolution to 1080p, EIS works. And there is also support for 1080p 120fps slow motion videos on the Note 7 Pro, while the M30 does not have a slow motion option at all. So final verdict, the Note 7 Pro has a better rear camera for both photos and videos. And the Galaxy M30 has a better selfie camera. But that's not all. The Note 7 Pro offers some cool features in portrait mode like studio lighting and light trails like these. It might be a gimmick, but it looks cool. It also has a fully fledged Pro mode, including control over shutter speed, which can go up to 32 seconds. So if you know how to use these settings, you can create some amazing images. If you watch that basic camera terms video, you'll definitely be able to use the Pro mode to its full potential. Link is in the description, by the way. And guys, I did not forget about Google Camera. The thing is, both phones have Camera2 API enabled by default. But I tried several different versions of Google Camera. I couldn't install it on the M30. On the Note 7 Pro, I could install it, but there is something wrong with image processing. The images are not very sharp. The colors are very dull. They look washed out, and night sight is not very consistent. Most of the time, it's not doing anything. So for now, the stock camera is better than the Google camera about 90% of the time. But guys, I will keep trying new versions of Google Camera, and if one of them works fine, I'll come up with a stock camera versus Google Camera video. I already did a similar video for the Redmi Note 7, the Chinese variant with 48 megapixel Samsung sensor. Check that out if you're interested. But when it works, I'm sure the Note 7 Pro will be better for selfies as well. So that's it. What are your thoughts on this camera battle? Let me know in the comment section. And if you want to see any other camera comparison, tell me that as well. Hit the like button if you found this video useful, subscribe to Technology Jock, and more importantly, hit the bell icon for more videos. Thanks a lot for watching. This is Ashwin Sundar, leaving for the moment. Have a great day.